All right, guys, welcome back to Tucked In Wizards. My name is Aidan, and I'm here with Ben.
Welcome back, guys. I know it's been a little bit, but we're back.
It's been so long, I cut my hair.
Yeah.
I'm all short.
Yeah, you cut his
No
hair.
more long hair.
We have an excuse. Holidays, Wizards don't really win any games. But there is a lot to talk about now with Alex R, trade deadline coming up. We'll touch on all that.
Yeah, we got 30% of our wins for the whole season since we've been here, so we definitely have a lot to talk about, a lot to cover.
Yeah, let's talk about those two wins, because I honestly can't remember them. One was against the Bulls.
Yep.
Which was a funny win, going back to it.
January 1st.
Speaking of the Bulls, Lonzo is back and looks really good.
He looks great.
So it's honestly what a great feel-good story. But also, it's a little funny, and if the Bulls are like, oh, maybe we could do something with this, because they can't. But the Bulls front office is probably thinking that.
Yeah. I saw something where through 40 games, last year they were 18 and 22, and the year before they were like 19 and 21.
What are they?
And they're
this
18
year?
and 22 again. Hilarious. So it's like, okay,
the epitome
you guys
of
you're just running on the treadmill that the Wizards were running on for like 6 years straight. You got to change.
But now Lonzo's back. It was turning around in Chicago. It is not. And the other one was against the Hornets, which Hornets are a really horrible team right now as well. So no surprises there.
So far, we're up 2-0 on the Hornets this season.
And 2-1 on the Hawks. Man, we're owning our division.
2 more times? We play the Hornets 2 more times.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we beat the Hawks twice. We beat the Hornets twice. We're not.
Everyone's scared of the Wizards in our
division. Yeah.
You don't want to see us.
You don't want to see it. Once it comes down to you got to win the game to get in, you don't want to see the Wizards.
Nope. But we've had some, last game against the Wolves was pretty close until the fourth quarter. We've had some decent games. And then we've also had, games against the Thunder where we lose by 41 and we're never we're never closer than, 20.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I turned that game off pretty quickly.
Yeah, me too. And I'm disappointed we couldn't steal that one in Philly. I really wanted to
especially they lost to the process Pelicans right after. Pelicans also, I know we're kind of going all over the place, but everyone's coming back for the Pelicans, and they also look pretty good. So
they do look pretty good.
I'm curious. Obviously, there's that Rookie of the Year race, which we'll talk about between Alex Sarr and U.S. Missy. Sarr's kind of pulling away from that, as he should. He's a little more skilled than Missy.
I agree.
But yeah,
it's there's a lot of cool things going on around the league. It's to the point where we can kind of see how teams are. Things are kind of shaken down, and then we still have all these crazy standings. The Rockets are still second in the West. The Magic are top 4 in the East. It's a really cool year because all these young teams are finally coming into their own.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of young teams. We're seeing we've been talking about this for a few years now, just the NBA world as a whole, about the death of super teams, and we're kind of seeing that with the Suns. The Lakers have actually done pretty well this year, regardless. But the Suns going down, the Sixers falling. So these teams that are just we got to get 3 big guys together, it's not really working anymore.
No,
which is
but
good
also,
for
I mean, if the Suns had somebody not named Bradley Beal, it might be looking a little bit better for them right now. But they've got bigger problems anyway.
Mason Plumlee being their starting center.
Mason Plumlee, oh god. Nurkic is so bad that Mason Plumlee is getting playtime over him in 2025. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I really could not believe
Sounds
that.
like they could use Big Val. I don't know. They don't have. We went through all the trades. They have nothing to trade. It's actually insane.
No. And we'll talk about that later. We've got a little fun trade proposal thing for you at the end of the episode. But I'm just going to go around the league first, talk a bit more about the Wizards.
Yeah, let's talk about
some of the young guys have been in.
You want to talk about Sarr first?
I'd love to talk about Sarr. He's been really impressive to me lately. Just the stats are fine. It's nothing insane usually, but he's, getting double-digit points pretty consistently, which I was worried about. His rebounding looks way better now than it did to start the season. And he's still getting his blocks. He's still doing everything that I'm used to seeing him do at this point. Still guarding the perimeter great, still guarding the paint great. But he's starting to open up that three-point shot. I think in the last 13 games, he's shooting 40% from 3. It's crazy.
Last time we made an episode, he was shooting 20% from 3. He's shooting 32% now. So a huge jump since from a month ago, which is insane.
Yeah, and I didn't expect any of this from him, honestly, this year. I was ready to be hey, man, he's averaging 7 points a game and 3 rebounds, but just wait, he's going to be great.
Yeah.
So it's really encouraging that he's a bit farther ahead than I expected.
Yeah, the blocks are coming down a little bit. I think NBA offenses are figuring him out a little bit as for early in the season when he was getting 3 a game. But that's still a learning process. That'll come around. He's still averaging 1.6, which is amazing. Obviously, he's not going to be Wemby, but if you expected that, I don't know what to tell you.
It's also a little harder for him. At the beginning, he was playing with Val a lot, and that opened him up a lot more to run around and block. Where now he's really our starting center. So it's like, he needs to be pulled out against some of these centers because there's a lot of centers who can shoot these days. So, he's got to meet him at the line. He's got to guard them at the perimeter. He can't really sag off them as much as some of the guys he was able to guard.
And he's getting switched,
Yeah, and like you said, he's on the scattering report, so they're getting ready for him. But still, the Bilal-Alex Sarr combo defensively is insane.
I am a little disappointed with Bilal's offense. It's kind of catered not off a cliff, but it's definitely on a downward trajectory over these past couple games. He had a pretty good game against Minnesota. He had 15 points.
Yep.
But, he hasn't really shot it that efficiently. But, he's still 20 years old. He's still averaging 12 points in a game. It'll come around. My main worry for him is, first of all, he's shooting pretty bad from three. He's shooting under 30%. And just that his shot release is pretty slow. So I think he needs to speed it up a little bit. But again, it's hard to speed it up when you're also not shooting well to begin with.
For sure. And to me, also, like, something I see with him a lot is a kind of hesitancy to shoot. Yeah. So that might be kind of playing into that shot release where, like, he's kind of second-guessing himself while he's shooting, where, like, he just needs to get that confidence up. He just really needs to, like, I don't know if it's, like, reps he needs in practice or what, but he really just needs to just be a bit more poised and recognize, hey, I'm not shooting great, but I know I'm a good shooter. I need to take this open three immediately instead of waiting for the guy to close out on me. Yeah, shoot. And, like, even he's not a shooter necessarily, but he's not a bad shooter at all. He has a decent shot. It looks fine. It's just a little slow.
Yeah, and he's a little... it's just the classic young player thing. They're going to go through these ups and downs. He'll turn it around.
To me, the encouraging thing is across every single stat, he's improved. He's got 4 more points than he did last year. He's already got double the assists he did last year, which is huge. And he's already got a rebound more than he did last year. So, everything's improving. That's what you want to see from your young guys. So this is a fine second year for me. The second year is really tough for players.
And he's still guarding the best player on the other team, pretty much. Exactly. I know Ant-Man gave him 41 the other day, but,
He gave him 41, but he complimented the Wizards' young core. So, they're building something over there.
He's right.
You would not hear that a lot of the time before.
And speaking of confidence, but no, finish your thought.
I was just going to say, I think if Bilal comes out strong next year and, averages 15, 16 points with the same defense, he's got a really bright future ahead of him.
Yeah. He's like with most of these young guys on the Wizards, he's another work in progress, and it's just something you got to keep building towards. Dawkins has done a great job, and we talked about this a ton over the course of the last year of bringing this core together where they all are around the same age. So... And we'll continue to build, hopefully with Flag or Harper or one of those top guys for next year. But speaking of confidence, Bub Carrington has confidence. Yeah, that dude does not hesitate on a shot, which is amazing. I mean, his shot is off sometimes, but he definitely doesn't hesitate taking them. Obviously not the best efficiency in the world, but I honestly don't care at this point. As long as he's shooting, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, me too. And it's like, efficiency isn't that bad. He's shooting
for a rookie guard,
47% from 2.
Not. Yeah.
Which sucks, but he's shooting 34% from 3, which is like league average about. And the assists look nice. He has 4 assists.
And he's a great rebounder for his size.
30 minutes. He is a great rebounder for his size. Like 4 rebounds a game for a young guy that size is pretty impressive. Yeah, and he's averaging like the same rebounds as assists.
A little bit like I don't know if this is Meekly is like Russell Westbrook, but I don't know. We'll see. His mid-range shot is still money.
Yeah, the mid-range shot is money. He just needs to get more comfortable with, like, okay, I need to get to this spot and immediately shoot it. He's kind of, like, holds it a bit, but, I mean, he's young. He's a rookie. He's still figuring everything out. He's only played 38 NBA games.
Exactly.
But, he's averaging 9 points, which is fine. He looks good. That's the main thing. Like, he looks poised, confident. I'd like to see him get the turnovers down. He's almost up to 2 a game, which is, not great. But, again, he's a rookie. He's playing... guys at a level he's never seen before, Exactly. So I'd be surprised if he was excelling insanely.
Exactly.
And he was like, what, the 22nd pick or something?
Nah, he was in the teens.
16th maybe? Either way, he's exceeded my expectations a bit too. I wasn't sure if he was even going to get play time or like G League time. And honestly, Same goes for Keyshawn George.
Keyshawn George,
he hasn't been as good as some of the others.
He has his up and down games. He had a game the other day where he hit 4 threes against Chicago and a loss. But then he also, I mean, his 3-point shot's obviously not there yet. He's shooting 25% from 3, which is Kuzma level. We'll get to him in a second when we start trades. He's been generational in a bad way.
And not a good way. The thing to me, though, about the 3 points is that he has 5 attempts a game.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're not shooting great, but you know you're a good shooter and you're comfortable in your role and just sitting there.
He's just, at this point, it's all about reps for these guys. Keyshawn is probably the guy that it's like, okay, we need to get him into become a comfortable role player. Like, that's the goal for him. Where Bub and Sar, I think, will stick in the NBA for a while. Keyshawn's the one guy where I'm like, okay, he needs to like figure it out because he's not going to have the same leash that Bub and Sar have and Koulibaly. Just because when more guys come in, guys will have to go out, and you don't want to be that odd man out of the rotation.
I agree with that, but in the position he's in, like I think if he doesn't really show much improvement in the next few years, that's definitely true. But he's not a bad defender.
Yeah.
In the NBA, if you're willing to shoot and like you can shoot okay and you're not a bad defender, like you'll do fine.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a starter at this point. I don't know if he'll ever be a starter, but I definitely see him being like a promising role player.
Yeah, and
at the very least,
like you said, people can improve. He's only 21, so
yeah, he's
young. Got plenty of time. And then we'll look towards the draft, and again, hopefully it's Harper or Flag. I know there's a lot of good players in this top 5, but Flag just dropped 42 the other day, which was
Flag is ideal.
Yeah, Duke record or something.
Yeah, insane. And on like 14 shots.
Yeah, he's a foul baiter too. That's what we need in DC.
I would be very upset if we don't get Flag because the Wizards got to get something.
Yeah.
After so long and being so ass. But I do like Harper. I like Nolan Traore. I don't like Ace Bailey as much, but I don't think he'd be terrible. Yeah, like he's not a first.
And then there's that guy like Casper. His name is Jacksionis. I don't know if that's how to pronounce it, but yeah, who's pretty good. There's a lot of good prospects. We'll talk about that more as we get into the off season and all that. Do you want to do some trades?
Trust. Yeah, sure. Let's do some trades.
Coming up on the trade.
To preface this, I'm not a huge trade proposal guy, so I'm going to be doing more of like vague, like I'd like to see him go here for maybe these pieces. Where like Ben's going to be doing more like by the numbers. These trades will work, and this is something I'd like to see.
I don't know if it's something I'd like to see. I'm trying to make it as fair as possible. I got trades for the 3 main trade pieces that are on the Wizards. This is Brogdon, Kuzma, and Valanciunas. I didn't put any Kispert trades in. It's possible he gets moved at the deadline. Anyone else who can get moved at the deadline for the Wizards?
I mean, like theoretically, I could see like Patrick Baldwin or something. Yeah,
those guys will be
thrown in a trade, but like not really a centerpiece. I think the big ones really are Big Val,
Brogdon, Kuz, and then
Brogdon and Kuz.
And then we might see. I mean, Poole definitely has some value now.
I was thinking about that.
But I didn't put any Poole.
It's possible
right
he gets
now.
traded.
I really like Jordan Poole. I really like him being on the team, so I'm not going to put him.
And he's young
right now.
I agree. Although I would not be very surprised to see a team snap him up with how good of a season he's been having.
Yeah, he's been.
And I think the Wizards are in a position where they're like,
they got to learn from Kuzma.
This guy's good, but like. Yeah, and like by the time we're really looking to be good, he's going to be late 20s, early 30s, which is fine, but it's like, he doesn't really fit the timeline as well.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind trading him, and I wouldn't mind keeping him. I love watching Jordan Poole. He's been great this year.
He's been great, yeah. Even last year when he wasn't that good, he was fun to watch. So, but
yeah, like the shot from the
yeah. When he makes one layup and he's about to pull up a 36-foot heat check.
That's true. Yeah.
But now he makes them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I have those 3 trades, and then I have 2 Jimmy Butler trades. We'll talk about him too, because he's carrying NBA drama for sure, and has been for the last 10 years. I said this to you earlier about how it sounded really mean, but a guy with no regular season accolades has this much power. I know he's brought the Heat to the finals twice, which is an amazing accomplishment. It's still kind of funny to see.
He's always been very good at leveraging the power. Like a lot of NBA players don't understand the power they have. Where like people like Beal, Dame, like they leveraged it well, but Jimmy Butler is like the best at doing that. Where he's like, I'll blow up this entire team if you don't do what I want.
Yeah, because he knows they're like he's the team. He's who they built around. But honestly, the Heat are looking pretty good even without him. I'm gonna say pretty good and like. But like Tyler Hero is looking like he could be an all-star this year. Bam obviously hasn't been that great compared to previous season, but that's a core you can kind of make something around, which is pretty funny because that's the Dame trade package.
By pretty good, I'm imagining they can make it to the first round and out of the play.
Yeah, but Tyler Hero is still young.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that's
something
kind of
there.
Weird thing with them though is that like he's the only young core, like young piece.
They have contracts
really
too.
Good.
Like Rozier, they got Duncan Robinson, where they could actually make a splash for a star player when Jimmy Butler's gone. So we'll see. I don't know if that's probably not Zach LaVine. I don't think that's helping them.
Happening.
But you know, we'll see with my crazy 4-teamer. They make a big splash there. I'm gonna put that in the video. I don't think that's gonna happen, but anyway, I'll get to the trades. The first one, I'll do a simple one. I'll do my Brogdon trade. This could go. I have a couple Brogdon trades. One of them is with Valanciunas that I kind of saw. But the first one is let me pull it up on the trade machine. Full screen this is with the Miami Heat, and the way I see it is the Heat are looking for a guard. Rozier hasn't been the best this year. They're looking for someone to pair with Tyler Hero. You trade Rozier to the Wizards. You get Malcolm Brogdon, and really all you have to give up is, what did I put?
Like a second?
No, not for Rozier's contract. Is a top 8 protected first in a few years.
I was going to say, like, we better get some picks if we're taking Rozier on.
Yeah, so this was the first trade I did. Brogdon to the Heat. It says the Wizards get +1 win Brogdon, but Brogdon's been pretty good. He'll be a good fit in Miami. Yeah, even regardless of what happens with Jimmy Butler. The thing with that makes it kind of iffy for the Heat is they do have to attach that pick. I don't know if Brogdon's really that worth it, but he isn't expiring. He will be off the team next year, and that gives him some cap flexibility. We'll see. I don't know. What do you think about this? It's kind of a nothing deal where it just kind of gets off the Rozier contract.
I mean, from the Wizards' perspective, I don't hate it. From the Heat perspective, it's like, why bother, really? They've always shown that they're just willing to sit on these shitty contracts and wait them out, and like I don't really see them changing that. But maybe that's part of how they convinced Jimmy Butler. They go, okay, look, we're going to make some big changes. We're getting some of these guys who aren't contributing out of here and bringing in some new faces. I don't think it'll happen. I think Jimmy Butler's gone, and I think they're kind of not really going to make too many big trades past that. But I don't mind it. That's the thing with all these trades. It's always hard because it's like, you never know
Rozier's averaging
thinking.
career lows across the board. Not career lows.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like selling low is really bad, and I'm sure Miami would hate to attach the pick because they love their drafts. So I don't mind it. I like it. I just don't know if Miami would bite on it.
That's what my kind of thing was with it too, where it's like, but. I'm looking at Brogdon and I'm looking through the teams, and he's making $22 million. Yes, it's an expiring, but how many teams that are contending like need a backup point guard for 22? It's not a lot. There's not a lot of teams out there that would need it.
That's the big thing. Like, I would like to see him go to Minnesota because I think that would be a great fit for him. And they desperately need a point guard, and then we could take back like Conley and some filler. But I don't think that's great for the Wizards. Like, I don't really care about that unless they give us some young guy.
And even them, it's going to have to,
because they might. I think the Timberwolves are really panicking, like really hard, because they're locked in here and they're not looking good. And it's like,
we could see a the type of player where
if you don't keep Ant happy, is he going to stay in Minnesota? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure about that.
I'm not going to try to figure out this Wolves straight off the top of my head without planning it before.
I tried to figure it out, and I kind of gave up.
It's going to have to be
That's
something.
That's why I was saying most of my trades
Conley.
are like, I'd like to see them go here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would take DiVincenzo, I would take Conley, and then we need like one more guy, like maybe
Terrence Shannon, which it feels like too much to give up just for Brogdon, but there probably won't be any picks attached.
But also, none of those players are very good, and they haven't been playing very well for them. So maybe they just make some space and sign some promising young main guys or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm going to go to the next trade, which is the Lakers, and this is Valanciunas to the Lakers, which I feel like has been mocked a lot. I think the Lakers are a very promising spot for Valanciunas. I think that's where a lot of people think he's going to go because they obviously have a need at backup center. It should not be Jackson Hayes. And there's kind of two trades that I kind of came up with. The first one was Jared Vanderbilt, who's obviously coming off that injury. He's 25. Wizards take a chance on him. And Jalen Hood-Schifino. Again, he really hasn't been that good, but he's young. What do tanking teams do? They take a chance on people. Jalen Hood-Schifino could be one of those guys they take a chance on. And then in 2 seconds, get sent to the Wizards as well. And that's pretty much the trade. The other option is we add Brogdon in and then get back Gabe Vincent and Max Christie. Maybe another second. I don't think really Valanciunas is going to fetch a first-round pick. I'm going to be honest at this point. But
no, I don't think so.
I think 2 seconds plus Vanderbilt, who's a great defender. He could fit in with what the Wizards kind of have going if he's healthy. Again, he's only 25. He's on a 4-year deal, which is honestly not that expensive. And then Jalen Hood-Schifino, you take a chance on a young player who really hasn't been that good, really hasn't had that much of an opportunity. Lakers get a much-needed backup center.
I'm going to be honest. I don't see us getting a first for Val unless we're doing like a Nurkic trade where we're taking on a terrible player in return, which is fine. And I'm cool with trading Val for one mediocre guy, one okay young guy that might be okay, and then like a couple picks. He's not going to be here long term. He never was supposed to be here long term. It seems like Sar's learned everything he can from him. I just have like a short list of teams that I'd like to see him go to that I think would be kind of cool, but I don't know if they have what it takes to trade for him. I think Atlanta would be a pretty good spot for him. He's not the traditional like dunker and like lob threat, but if you give it to him in the paint, he's usually pretty good.
Atlanta's interesting actually because if they find a spot for Capella and then bring in Val, that gives Okongwu the space to start now.
Sure. Yeah. And then you have Val and you can open it up to 3 teams, and we can maybe get a couple more picks in there too. Yeah. Just for facilitating it. That's really the best way as a tanking team. You're just the middleman in a 3 or 4 team trade, and you're like, hey, I'll take some trash picks that you guys don't want just so I can facilitate this. And you build that up. I would also like to see him. I think it would be cool if he was in. Where was I? I think the Lakers is good. I like the Lakers. I don't love the return, but we always trade with the Lakers. We have that partnership with them, so I think it's fine.
And I think two seconds on his own is good for Val, I'm going to be honest. But getting Jared Vanderbilt, I think Jared Vanderbilt is a little underrated because he's so injured to the point where the Wizards could really use a guy like him on the defensive end. Like then you'll have Vanderbilt, Sar, and Bilal kind of locking down that one side of that's pretty good for the Wizards. Again, it depends a lot on his health, but you're taking a chance on a guy that really the Lakers don't have enough time to take a chance on because LeBron's 40. They need to get better now. And with Vanderbilt's injury, it's kind of hard to see him. I don't think he's played a single game this year, actually.
No. I could see him in, like, obviously different injury situation, but like an Al Horford and obviously better player, but Al Horford and OKC thing where you just bring him in and rehabilitate his image and then send him back out.
Yeah.
Which I would love.
He's a great defender. He's a great defender. He's 25. Old. I actually really like Jared Vanderbilt, but
I like Vanderbilt too. It's just offense is pretty shit.
His offense is horrible.
So it's like having 2 Bilals. Where Bilal is at now, and Bilal just has way more promise. Yeah, Bilal might be better on offense. Which is sad.
In 2021, I'm just looking at his stats. He shot 14% from 3 on only 0.2 attempts, so it's not like a lot, but. That's still
like 0.2 attempts is crazy. You're like a 3-and-D guy. I thought I was thought he was a 3-and-D guy, and I looked at it. I was like, oh, he's just a defense guy, and he sucks at everything on offense.
Yeah, no, he's not a great offensive player. But
and then my last spot for Big Val that I think would be kind of fun would be Golden State, because I think that's one of the few teams he has a legitimate chance of starting on and like making a difference. But I'm kind of a Kevon Looney doubter ever since the year he was really good. Like this year he's averaging 5 points and 6 rebounds on like 53%.
Yeah, he fell off
shooting.
really quickly.
It's like, Big Val is giving much more in basically the exact same role, just getting more rebounds, getting more points, and like he's one of those guys where you legitimately can just dump it to him late in the shot clock and he can make something happen. He does that a lot on the Wizards, and that's where most of his points come from.
This would be a first-round pick spot, too. I think
that would definitely be a first-round pick
because
spot.
They don't really have anybody to trade other than filler.
And I think they're also kind of in a panic mode where they're like, we need to just ride out Steph's career, and like maybe they're kind of like always thinking about the next step. So maybe they're like, we need to save our picks for after Steph. But I feel like it's way more like, let's send him off right, try to be good.
I know, like
upgrade the team.
I talk about Kenny a lot on this. He's so pissed about this Steph Curry stuff because what the Warriors are doing is it like doesn't make much sense. Like they're not going all in on this dude who is one of the best players ever. Who, yeah, he's 36 years old, but he's still like a superstar at this point.
Mm-hmm. He is having a tough year, though. I will say.
Yeah, because
I'm seeing stat lines from Steph Curry I've never seen
Andrew
before.
Wiggins, man. I would have a tough year too if I was Steph.
Yeah, but like he had a game where he had 0 points.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's Steph Curry.
Steph.
It's Steph Curry. He should be scoring, but like recently he's been good. He just had like kind of a weird start.
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't 0. He had 2. My bad.
He was comeback player of the year last year. That's an award in the NBA.
Huh? Steph Curry?
Yeah.
The fuck? I didn't even know that was an award. That's like clutch player of the year. Nobody gives.
Oh, is that? Oh, maybe that's clutch player of the year.
Oh, it's probably clutch.
Oh yeah, it is. It was just CPOY, and I was like comeback player.
Yeah.
But it
because
was
that's
clutch
his.
Player.
That was the first year of clutch player, right?
Second, I believe Fox won it.
Who was? Oh yeah. I think you're right.
Another guy who's on trade talks, but that probably has subsided with the Kings' recent win streak.
Well, do we want to get to the main course of this trade? Kyle Kuzma?
Yeah, speaking of the Kings. Oh, boy. Let's talk about Kuzma a little bit, because he's been dreadful.
He's been really bad.
He's been probably the worst I've seen him over his whole career.
He's been so bad, I'm not sure if we're even going to trade him.
Yeah, like, his value has declined immensely. He's shooting sub 25% from 3. Pretty much every time he shoots it, I think it's going to be a brick.
Yep.
He's still very good at attacking downhill. He still can be a very good role player. That's the thing with Kyle Kuzma is, like, you could see how he could be very good. He just needs to really stop jacking threes, and his defense has been horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the stats, he's down 8 points from last year.
Less attempts, I'm guessing.
Let me see. Yeah, less attempts, but not that. It's like 3 less 2-pointers and 2 less threes. So, like, I guess that adds up to that, but, you know, the efficiency is way worse than it was last year. He's shooting 47% from the field, which is his lowest ever.
And it could be he's just 25%, checked out.
Also lowest ever. Yeah, that might be the thing too. But also, if he's checked out, he's not going to get traded. Yeah, because we're not going to get anything from him. So we're just going to say, hey, we're going to wait till year 4 of that contract where you're making $16 million a year, and then we'll trade you.
Yeah.
But also the same time, he hurts the team just being there. Like every time Kuzma's on the floor, it's ugly basketball. It's just like the defense sucks, the offense garbage. Like,
but again, he's really good at attacking downhill. He gets into the paint pretty much at will.
Yes,
and that's not even an exaggeration. He just needs to stop settling.
But he hasn't been doing it this year.
Just needs to stop.
He's taking 9 2-point attempts, and I feel like half of those are elbow jumpers that he's really bad at. Yeah, it's like you should know you should not do that anymore.
Definitely should have traded him last year, but you know, with all these guys, there's a chance it's not linear, right? So there's a chance he bounces back at the end of the season, bounces back next year, whatever it is.
And it's also like having one of our highest paid players like this when we're trying to be good would be catastrophic. When we're this bad, it's like disappointing, not too big of a deal.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal anyway. But I'm putting this trade in anyway. The value is very low.
Yeah.
But in fact, this might even be too much. But I'm going to do it anyway. We're Wizards homers. We'll put this in. Kyle Kuzma goes to the Kings, who obviously they don't need a power forward. They got Keegan, but they could use a backup guy coming off the bench. Really just bolster their bench, and they really don't have to give up much. It's Kevin Huerter, who's been dreadful this year. A protected first, I believe I put in. Yeah, 2027 lottery protected first, which really is nothing. And then a 2027 second rounder as well.
My thing, I like Kuz. My thing with Kuz is that I see a lot of places that he could play with his theoretical skill set.
Also, I accidentally sent the Wizards sending the picks out. It's the Kings sending the picks out.
I could see like his theoretical skill set fitting in a lot of teams because you know he's kind of like a much worse Zach LaVine. you know, where like he can score a bunch. But he's making a lot less.
Well, this year,
making like half as
that's
much.
an insult to Levine. Levine's been on a heater.
Yeah, that is an insult to. But I did say much worse. I did say much worse.
Yeah.
But he just like is not really showing it this year. He's not ever really been that consistent game to game, so it's really tough because a lot of teams I feel like aren't going to want to bite on him.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of teams where like I feel like the really defensive teams could use him.
I still think the Kings is a good spot, like you said. Very
I think the Kings
defensive
is a good
team.
spot too.
He
sure,
can come off
sure.
the bench with Malik Monk, with Keon Ellis, and really be that offense. And it makes the Kings really good. I mean, Kevin Huerter, he's not doing anything this year, so you're really not giving him anything.
They're one of my teams. I think the low key, the Pacers could be up there. They just have a million guards and no forwards, so just getting an okay forward that can just fill that spot and giving up like Andrew Nembhard and like Neesmith.
They're not giving up
doesn't hurt them that bad.
You know I love Nembhard.
I
would love if Nembhard was on the Wizards.
Nembhard is so ass.
Nembhard is one of my favorite.
I won't go into it. I won't go into it. He's not garbage. He's not garbage, but he's not as good as Ben says he is. Like Ben Simmons. Ben's a big Ben Simmons lover.
Yeah, but that's more.
Ben
Simmons
ironic. Is so garbage. I don't think so.
Nembhard's averaging career
You said Ben Simmons would be a backup on every single team in the NBA, and I do not agree with that.
Yeah, he would.
I don't agree with that. But anyway,
we'll get into my Ben Simmons.
I think the Magic could be good for him too. Just because they're so defensive.
I would love Cole Anthony.
But they also have a million forwards, so it's like, why bother?
They just have a million players. I don't really understand how they have so many players.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they have a ton of guards too. Like, I would take like Cole Anthony's not really getting play. I would take like I don't know, just Jalen Suggs isn't really getting too much play anymore. He's injured, but whatever. And just like a pick or two, because they have a lot of assets where like they might be looking at the start and being like, oh, well, we could maybe do something if we like improve our roster a little bit. And Kuz isn't that old. He's what, like
he's 28.
29, 28.
Declining contract.
I can see that working for them. Yeah, declining contract. It fits pretty well. But like Kuz is a weird player because I see like a team on the edge of being good or contending taking a risk on him, but I don't see him going to a team like, I don't know, like
Cleveland,
Detroit.
Yeah.
I mean Cleveland too. Yeah, for sure. But like Detroit, where they're kind of on the edge of like even making the playoffs, and they don't really want to commit. But honestly, just looking through, low key, Philadelphia, they might be able to use.
Yeah,
Kuzma
let's take a Philadelphia
now.
pick, man. I would love that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Get that Philly pick. Get like. I'd just take like Reggie Jackson or something.
Yeah, Philly needs players. They need to pick a direction this year because it's been rough.
They do. Yeah. I mean, it looked like they were tanking last game, but with how this season's been, they might have actually just all been legitimately injured.
I sent my friend who's a Philly fan that starting lineup, and he was like, we need to find this team for this. This is the worst starting lineup I've ever seen. It was like Reggie Jackson. I can't even remember. Reggie Jackson's in it. That's all you got to know.
There's Ricky Council starting.
Ricky Council is there.
Nasty.
Yabusele, who was their best player, by the way.
He was.
Two other
still
guys.
Might be.
Kelly Oubre, I think, started. Which is
low key. I could see Kuzma going to a team like, I know they were interested in him before. They didn't want to give up as much, but our standards might have lowered. We might be able to send him to Dallas because they could use him a lot. Like, he's just a better PJ Washington for them, basically.
Anymore?
Yeah, PJ Washington is garbage.
He's been bad this year.
He's averaging 13 points on 42% from the field. Like, he's not been good either. Kuzma's objective.
They figured him out. They just took away his corner shots. 13 points is actually higher than he was last year.
Is it really?
He's been way better this year than last year. That's kind of crazy.
Damn. I guess he didn't get traded till.
It says Hornets stats bringing him down.
Where is it? Yeah. No, legit. The Hornet. I mean, also, he had a weird year last year. He averaged way less than the year before. This is like him back to where he kind of
normally is, yeah.
But his efficiency was.
Adjustment period.
Wow, he was terrible last year.
Until
also
the
bad this
yeah.
year, so maybe he just kind of sucks. So getting Kuzma in there would be nice for them, I think, but I don't really see it happening for us because they don't really have anything that we're interested in very much.
Yeah.
They already tried, and we said no, thank you. I could see him like he could fit in a lot of these little teams, like I don't see anyone really trading for him though. Like he could fit on the Grizzlies, but why do it when they have like Santi Aldama, Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson, like even Jake LaRavia is promising. Like I wouldn't. Jalen Wells is a young guy. Like they don't need.
They're
Kuzma.
not trading Jalen Wells yet.
Maybe the Clippers would be a good spot for him.
I was looking at the Clippers too. The main thing with the Clippers is they just don't really have space. Like unless you're taking back like PJ Tucker, Terrence Mann can't be traded. I mean, he was recently signed. And
we would be taking back like PJ Tucker, like Derek Jones, like.
But I feel like the Clippers want Derek Jones. Like I feel like they'd rather him than Kuzma at this point.
Didn't he just like? Oh no,
just
there was someone I just saw that like on the Clippers they just relegated. I think I don't remember who that is. We could like Bones Highland.
Nuggets legend.
It's just it's so hard to find a place for Kyle Kuzma.
I would love Chris Dunn.
Like maybe San Antonio is like, hey, we're better than we thought. Let's get Kyle Kuzma for cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But again, they have Keldon Johnson, who's like the same player at this point.
Yeah.
Is that Kuzma hate? I don't know.
Awful.
All right, I'm going into my Jimmy Butler trade.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about Jimmy Butler. So Jimmy Butler, if you're living under a rock and don't pay attention to the NBA at all, obviously requested a trade out of Miami, and he said anywhere but Miami. And then also listed some teams that he actually didn't want to go to as well. One of those teams was Memphis, but I'm putting a Memphis trade anyway because, in my opinion, and we kind of talked about this, and we both kind of agreed that Jimmy Butler would sacrifice the end of his career to not play in Memphis. In fact, we've seen players do that. We've seen Andre Iguodala do it, and we've seen, I think, did Jay Crowder do it, or was he some?
No, he just kind of got pushed out. He kind of did it, but he got the trade he wanted, and then never played anyway.
Yeah.
So kind of.
Though I saw him playing the other day. But anyway, for Memphis, I'm thinking his value has tanked a lot.
Yeah.
You're not going to be giving up that much. You take the risk that he's going to play, and you go in for a championship. If he doesn't play, he rides out his contract. I feel like it doesn't hurt you as much because it's only 1 year.
Yeah.
You guys are still. Well, you guys are actually entering your prime now. This is like Jimmy Butler's time. So Jimmy Butler to the Grizzlies. Marcus Smart goes back to the Heat, which will be very funny. Brandon Clark goes to the Heat, who's been good, but they just have a lot of depth at that position. And Luke Kennard goes to the Heat as well. In addition to, what did I put? One first, top 10 protected first. And this is, hey, Jimmy Butler's value, it's kind of deteriorating.
It is.
Very quickly. And the Grizzlies know he's not. It is a huge risk for the Grizzlies, of course. I think it's a risk that they can take and be okay with if it doesn't pan out. Because it's like you got to go balls to the wall at a certain point if you want to win a championship.
The thing is, if I'm the Grizzlies, this is the first year we're back healthy and we're top 3 in the West, and I'm like, why am I doing all this for Jimmy Butler, who doesn't want to be here and has shown he's willing to sabotage teams to get to where he actually wants to be before? So it is a huge risk of beyond like Jimmy's declining. It's like, oh, is he even going to play?
Yeah.
Like, is he going to cause drama? Is he going to ruin the locker room? Like, I wouldn't take that risk if I was them. And because of that, the only real place I see him going is like Phoenix for Bradley Beal. That's kind of it.
Which would be my next
I don't think either team's very excited about that. No. I'd like to get him to the Nuggets if I could. I think he'd be really good there. But it's kind of like every player that is in the trade talks. You're like, oh, he'd be great with Jokic. Like,
Obviously.
But he would like I could see like Aaron Gordon for him. They're kind of similar players.
I'd rather trade Michael Porter.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather trade Michael Porter too, but I don't know if the Heat want Michael Porter. I don't know if his value is very high. But I don't know if they would want Aaron Gordon either. I don't think his value is very high either. So I don't really see a way that happens. I'm very interested in this Jimmy Butler thing because I have no clue where he could possibly go.
And I don't know what he's thinking. Like, he wants a max. There's not a single team that's going to give him a max contract. There's just not teams with, like, space.
I think this goes way more behind the scenes than a lot of people are thinking, where I think there's like a fundamental rift between Jimmy and Pat Riley or Spo, or something happened.
Yeah.
Where like you remember he was kind of getting shit on by Pat Riley and Spo, like when he's taking those days off, and then it just came out that he's visiting his dad with cancer or something, and it's like
yeah, I know.
Like I would get pretty mad if I was taking time off, and they'd be like, we need people to commit to the team, and I'm like, dude, I'm with my dad who's dying, like
yeah,
that would piss me off. I think because Jimmy Butler's a very like emotional player, where like he plays much better in the big moments because he gets caught up in all the emotions. But that on the other side too, I feel like he can get not offended, but just like things can rub him the wrong way pretty easily. We saw that in Minnesota. Like things can break down pretty easily. So I think this is more of a social thing than a team thing, where like he talks about, I want to be able to play my basketball again. It's like you could if you wanted to.
Right.
And maybe he just wants to go like heliocentric, and that's why he wants to go to Phoenix, because it's all your turn, my turn, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
ISO ball.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's why it's so interesting.
It's an interesting thing for sure. This trade also with the Grizzlies, this might not be like this deadline thing, but if the Grizzlies flame out again in the playoffs in early rounds, then I can see them. Something. Okay, Jimmy he's obviously going to take his player option, regardless of what happens. This is a risk we could take. Hopefully, he could fix the culture coming in, and I always think back to these teams, like you have to go all in at some point, just to give yourself a chance. Like you can't just sit back on all your assets. And we saw Toronto do it with Kawhi and it worked out, but we've also obviously seen teams do it and it not work out.
We just saw Boston do it a couple years ago.
Yeah, Boston did it worked out. The Thunder will do it eventually, and it'll probably work out.
The Warriors with KD, the best one ever.
Yeah.
And also, I like that because I'm way more willing to risk a year of Jimmy Butler than a year and a half of Jimmy Butler in a season where, like, I feel like there's a lot of pressure internally to do pretty well this season.
For the Grizzlies?
Just because of, like, all the injuries and stuff. It'd be nice to be like, okay, look, we are building something meaningful.
Yeah.
And then you could go, okay, well, we did well last year. Maybe Jimmy Butler comes and helps. And if he fucks things up, we're still young. It's not the end of the world.
Exactly. And it especially is meaningful if they flame out in the first or second round again. I really do think for the Grizzlies this has to be a conference finals appearance. I know they're coming off injuries, but we've seen them a couple times just like lose very quickly. At the very least, they need to make the second round.
I think it depends a lot. I agree with the second round, but I think it depends a lot on who they play. Like if
you're
they play,
a 3 seed. And not only that, you're a 3 seed, but the 2 seed is a very young Rockets team. You should be able to beat that team if they move on.
But I'm not looking at the 2 seed. I'm looking at if you lose to the Lakers.
Yeah.
That's
the issue. Yeah, they need to get past there. Let me look at this.
If you lose to the Wolves, that's a matchup that they've had a lot, and it goes either way. They could lose that.
Yeah. Mavericks is a tough matchup as well.
If the West shakes out a little differently and they're playing the Nuggets in the second round or the Mavs in the second round, I'm like, they've got the experience. What can you do? We're young. We haven't been in this position before. This is our first time out of the first round.
Second, they made it out of the first round the first year. They played
the Wolves, right?
Yeah, was it rookie Anthony Edwards or second year Anthony? It was very young Anthony Edwards.
It was young Ant. But I think anything losing. If
they lose in the first round, then you're obviously not going to hit the panic button, but you need to make a trade at least. And I'm not saying you trade Job, Bane, or Jaren. I think those guys are safe, but you need to get more experience in. And that's
I'm not ruling out Bane or Jaren. Honestly, if I lose in the first round,
I think Jaren should say Bane. Yeah, okay, I can see.
I'm like Bane and Clark. If we lose in the first round, get the fuck out of here. I need to get a star. That's what I see. Because I think Jaren Jackson's a great player. I don't know if he's an amazing second option right now.
Hey, he's an all-star. He's going to be an all-star this year.
He's great. Definitely. He's great. He's had a great year. He had a great year last year. But I think he's more comfortable when other people are taking more attention away, and I think he would thrive even more in that third
for sure.
role. So I think for them, it would be very interesting to see what their team looks like if they go out and they get like a star forward or something. Easier said than done. Or like a star guard to pair with Ja and Jaren. Like that might be kind of nice too.
And that's not Brandon Ingram.
No, that is not Brandon Ingram.
All right, here's my.
I don't see anywhere for Brandon Ingram, honestly.
He's a weird player. We could talk about the Pelicans another time. I want to get Nate on there because he really knows.
Yeah.
All right, this is going to be my insane trade that I put together. That pretty much no chance of happening, but we could talk about it anyway.
Okay.
And this is speaking of the Pelicans, who.
Zion trade?
Zion will be on the move in this trade. That's why it's kind of insane. Because he
looked good yesterday. He looked good.
He looked great yesterday, actually. So we got Zion going to Miami. We got Andrew Wiggins going to Miami. Buddy Hield going to Miami. And a second-round pick from the Suns going to Miami.
This is the 4-teamer?
This is the 4-teamer. That's
Okay.
Miami.
Okay.
Jimmy Butler's going to Phoenix.
Yep.
This is how Phoenix gets Jimmy Butler. This is the convoluted way they get Jimmy Butler. Bradley Beal is going to the Warriors. He's going to waive his no-trade clause. He wants to play with Steph Curry. Whatever. Warriors also will get a first-round pick for taking on this contract from the Heat, who are giving up a first-round pick to get Zion. Pretty much. And it's going to be late. I'm going to be honest. Beal to the Warriors isn't that bad. I know the contracts will never work. But Steph Curry needs some sort of secondary scorer on this team, and it's not Dennis Schroeder.
It's not Buddy Hield either.
It's not Buddy Hield. So, like, Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine, get them to the Warriors. If that team is willing to trade them, of course.
A bit of an aside, it's kind of crazy how much that Jordan Poole trade fucked the Warriors, like really hard. I did not think it would have this much implications. With like Chris Paul's already gone, they got nothing from him. He did nothing all year, and Jordan Poole looks great. Like, what if he's the second option next to Steph right now, and he's averaging this? Like, they would look amazing.
Yeah, I don't know about those, but they would look better.
But they would look much better than they do now, which isn't saying much. They look kind of shit right now. They had a great start. They were like 14-6, and then lost a bunch. Kind of like the Wizards 10-3.
And then they get a first rounder, a lottery protected first from Miami. Miami giving up 2 firsts, and this is rough, but it is what it is. You're getting Zion.
I don't know.
You're getting Zion.
I don't know about this. Do they want Zion with Bam?
Hey, man.
I guess Tyler Herro's around. He's been good this year.
Suns obviously have to give him a first. They're going to do Butler, and they're also giving up this second. I mean, the Suns at this point, pretty much, do they care about picks at all? I honestly don't even know. I don't think so. I believe this is the deal. Yes. So
the thing is,
here's the full deal. They get Zion, Wiggs, and Hield. They honestly, you put Tyler Hero at the 1.
I guess Wiggs and Hield.
Probably you get Hayward Highsmith in there. I'm not really crazy about starting Buddy Hield, but you get Hayward Highsmith, you get Andrew Wiggins, you get Bam Zion. That's not a bad lineup for the Heat. Obviously the Suns are adding Butler. Warriors finally get a secondary scorer next to Curry, and they get a pick for taking on that contract. And then the Pelicans will just get 2 firsts, along with some filler for Zion. This works a little bit better when Zion wasn't playing as well, but you know.
I kind of feel like this is like the Wizards trade proposals, where you just take a
where you
shit
just
team like the Wizards
throw
and you say, give them all the scraps, give them all the stuff we got to make fit.
That's the one thing where like I want to see, like, the Pelicans should obviously be getting more in this trade.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find out where that comes from.
See, what I could see happening.
The thing is, they are getting an unprotected pick from the Suns, which could be very good.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see the. I don't think they want to rebuild again this early. That's the only thing. I could see like Beal to the Warriors, its own deal. That could definitely happen if he waives the no trade clause, and then Phoenix could use those assets to get, like you were saying, Jimmy Butler. But I don't know if they can turn whatever's left into Zion. Honestly,
that'll be tough.
That would be tough. Is Zion still on his rookie? He's not.
No. He's on his extension.
I don't know. It'd be interesting for sure. I think Pelicans fans would be
if
very
anything,
upset.
maybe you trade this for.
I think Nate would be very upset.
Brandon
for sure.
Ingram instead of Zion. You take out a first or something.
I think that would fit a lot better. But then, do the Heat want Brandon Ingram that much? I guess it's also Wiggins and Buddy Hield, so maybe. But also, those are like the 2 of the worst forwards and a bad guard. Like,
Brandon Ingram's not that bad. He's actually pretty good.
No, he's not.
He'd be pretty good on the Heat when they like make them play defense. Anyway, that's my favorite to go out.
It's interesting for sure. I just think if Zion's going to get traded, it's going to be for like Tyler Hero.
Yeah,
or something. Like, I could see that. Throwing Tyler Hero too.
The Pelicans.
But then, do they even want to do that? No, probably not.
It's rough, man. Like, Zion looks so good when he plays, and it's like we got something, but
the Pelicans are one of those, like, there's like 4 teams in the league that don't know what they want to do right now, and they're definitely in there. It's like the Pelicans, it's like the Bulls,
and they have the most potential out of
even
all of those guys because of Zion.
At this point, I'm not sure if I agree.
Well, you think
Zion's
they have less
good, but-
potential than like the Bulls and the Heat?
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
The Bulls, come on,
Yeah.
come on.
Where are the Pelicans right now in the standing? You gotta like
Better
you,
than the
you can't
Bulls
assume.
because they're at
No,
least
they're
like
not.
getting.
No, they're not.
No. Better than the Bulls because they're at least gonna get like a top pick.
Okay, I can see what you're saying there, but I don't think I just because then if you get a top pick, it's the Warriors thing where you're building two timelines and like maybe Zion never plays. I think long term they're a better position, but they don't know what the fuck they want to do right now. And right now the Bulls are a better team than the Pelicans are, even with Zion, in my opinion.
Oh, even with Zion.
Even with Zion,
and
Zion's good, but it's like. Yeah, I think so.
DeJounte
If you bring Lonzo back in, yeah, Lonzo's been like he's
gonna fool
the weird
Bulls
thing where like
so
no, literally he is. They need to blow it up, but Lonzo always makes that team look way better than it is somehow.
You think they're regretting trading Caruso?
Probably. What did they get for? No,
Josh
probably
Giddey.
not. Giddey's been pretty good. Like he had 12 rebounds, 10 assists the other day. Like he's a nice distributor, but with Lonzo, he's a little redundant.
I'm gonna go back to our faces.
I think the Bulls are bad and in a really shit spot, but I think the Pelicans have the potential to be in a much worse spot if the Zion thing goes real bad.
Yeah.
Because then it's like
it's almost like how can it get worse?
It is. But here, let me just pull it up. Like, how many picks do they even have?
They should have all theirs.
Right
I don't
now.
think they've given them much, right?
I mean, to get Ingram, I assume they had to get some.
No, Ingram was
Okay,
an
they
AD
have.
trade.
Okay, they have a good amount of picks. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Of course, they were in the AD trade. They have 2 firsts this year. They have Milwaukee's first, which is like whatever.
That almost looked really good at the beginning of the year.
Instead of they don't have a second next year, and they don't have a first the year after. They only have Milwaukee's first.
Which again could be pretty.
And then they don't have seconds until 2032, which is like whatever. Who cares? But if you're a tanking team, you do want another chance to swing and maybe get an okay player or even a Jokic player in the second round. So it's like I would like to see a lot of picks for Zion, and I don't see his value there, which is why I'm kind of worried about their future. Because if they blow it up and they don't get a ton of picks for Zion or Ingram, they're like in the Wizards position where it's like we really need to hit on these picks.
Yeah.
And like we did well, but I'm not as confident in the Pelicans.
Davis.
Oh, the Pelicans have drafted well. Trey Murphy's really good.
Trey
Zion's
Murphy,
great.
Herb Jones.
But they've also gotten very lucky. Like they got Zion, they got AD. Like they've gotten so many first overall picks for like
might get another one
players.
this year. It's
Maybe.
the generational time. What was it? 2012, 2019, 25? Does that check out? No.
Yeah.
6 years.
No, 26.
26.
If you're going 2012, 2019, 26.
Too bad.
But also the generational
Pelicans,
year was
they got the lottery luck.
2 years ago with
Wemby. Yeah,
Wemby.
but they weren't in position for that.
Although we were in position for that. Fucking NBA.
I
Rigging
know.
it. 50%
Rigging.
chance. Fuck you. We should have gotten
It's okay. Mike Cope
Imagine
is
if we
saying
had
that
Wemby
Bilal's
on
gonna
this
be
team.
better.
Wemby instead of Bilal. I love Bilal, but oof.
Wemby and Sarr would have been nasty.
Ooh.
Look ahead to the Wizards schedule. They're probably not going to win any of these next. Well, actually,
There's
I'm not
some
going to say
winnable
that. They
games.
play the Suns at home
Yep.
tomorrow. Winnable game for sure. I know the Suns.
And we
are
play the
like-
Jazz.
Yeah,
soon.
the Jazz.
Suns
Honestly, the
again.
Warriors is pretty winnable
Raptors.
too. They look pretty bad.
Honestly, I think we're at the point of the season now where any game is winnable if we shoot hot. It's
Yeah.
just like they're all very unlikely. And I think the Suns, the Jazz, the Raptors, the Hornets, the Nets, those are the teams where it's slightly more likely.
Yeah, the
Just 'cause
Mavericks
their
if
defense is so
Luka and
shit.
Kyrie are still out at the end of the month.
Kyrie was back last night.
Yeah.
So he'll probably be around. I don't know what's up with Luka. He's got like a leg thing.
The Wizards schedule is pretty Mickey Mouse as you get to the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we had a really tough schedule to start.
Yeah.
Celtics, Cavs, our first 2 games.
Which
Ugh.
is kind of a bad.
We've already played the Celtics all 4 times.
I know. We didn't beat them.
I don't think it's a bad thing. That puts us more in control of our destiny because the bad teams are less
to lose
incentivized
against
to tank
us.
at the end.
Yeah.
Because we've already built up a buffer. Like I'm not worried about catching to the.
No, we're
Nets
gonna
or
have top
something,
3 odds, almost guaranteed.
Yeah. And I feel like we're probably going to have top 1.
Yeah, which is it's the same for 3, but
I'm just glad we're not in the Pistons position last year where these losses are like embarrassingly stacking up. We had a bad 13 game lose streak
Yeah.
that sucked.
But then we got the win.
But
Was
we're
it
not
the
making
Nuggets?
history, and we're winning games. We've
Yeah.
won 6 games, and we're halfway
Winning
through the
games
season
and
now? Almost halfway.
6 games halfway through the season. Insane.
It's bad, but we're not.
1 in
We're not
15
going to break
on the road.
what is it? The Bobcats record. That's the big one. We're not breaking that.
Hopefully not.
I don't think
Probably
so.
not though.
This team is we're better than the process Sixers, in my opinion.
Yeah. Which apparently Rashawn Holmes was also on. So. Fact there.
That's cursed. I don't want that. Get him off the team. I don't want anyone from that team
he's
on
gonna
my
be our
tanking
backup
team.
center once we trade Valanciunas.
Yeah, he is.
And
He
I
is.
honestly
It's
don't
gonna be
hate
rough.
Holmes. I think he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
like-
reason he's been around since the process Sixers.
Yeah.
He's solid.
He's
like
solid.
one of those players you're not going to just get rid of just because. And it seems like he's level-headed enough where there's the players who are that level, but they're like a big locker room problem or something, so
Yeah.
they get bumped. But he doesn't seem like any of that, so I don't have a problem with him. Besides the fact he played for the process Sixers.
He's played for a lot of teams.
Yeah,
We're almost
yeah.
getting to an hour, so we should probably wrap up.
Yeah, that
was a
sounds
good
good to me. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.
Gafford, take us out.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy DG. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Nothing major. We hitting the wizard bed tonight, baby. Let's get it, Gafford out.